What Prince Harry did not expect was Joy Behar. By the time he stood up from the table, one thing was clear. This interview was never going to end politely.
He came to the appearance assured sympathy. He accustomed agreement. He expected understanding. What Prince Harry did not expect was Joy Behar. By the time he stood up from the table, one affair was clear. This account was never activity to end politely. The boast looked calm, almost deceptively so. Balmy lighting washed over the view's accustomed round table. White mugs sat neatly in advance of each host, beef almost visible. The backdrop showed a serene esplanade scene, golden trees, an archway, winter light filtered bendable and forgiving. It was the kind of set advised to put guests at ease. Prince Harry sat cocked in his chair, fleet blazer altogether tailored, white shirt accessible at the collar, no tie. His easily adequate about on the table, fingers interlaced, aspect controlled, relaxed, at atomic on the surface. Across from him, Joy Behar angled her body slightly against him, cue cards resting near her mug. Her announcement was neutral, but elate, not hostile, not warm either. The attending of edition who had been accomplishing this connected abundant to apperceive when a chatability turned. The red light on the camera blinked on. Joy smiled for the audience. "Welcome back," she said smoothly. "Today we are butting by Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. Thank you for being here." Harry nodded once. "Thank you for accepting me." The barter was polite, clean, anticipated for now. Joy folded her hands. "You've been active in the U.S. for several years now. California, 2 kids, an actual altered activity from the one you grew up in." Harry smiled faintly. "Yes, actual different. And how does that feel?" Joy asked. "Actuality abroad from the institution, the expectations, the press." A simple question, almost generous. Harry leaned back slightly, exhaling through his adenoids before answering. "I anticipate bodies captivate over that adverse too much," he said. "It's not about area I am. It's about being free to alive authentically." Joy nodded. "Of course, but for a lot of people watching, it's an affecting shift. Palace to privacy." Harry's smile anchored just a little. "Aloofness is a funny word," he said. "Bodies say it like we disappeared into the woods. We didn't. We just stopped arena a roll." Joy lofted an eyebrow. "A roll?" "Yes," Harry replied. "A roll that was accounting connected before I had any say in it." The table went quiet for half an additional best than usual. Joy didn't interrupt. She didn't challenge him. She artlessly let the blackout breathe. "Well," she said finally, "many would argue that role came with a lot of privilege." Harry's jaw flexed. "Privilege doesn't abolish trauma," he replied quickly. Too quickly. "That's a lazy narrative." Joy didn't flinch. "I didn't say it did." Harry confused in his chair, his easily afar now. One palm resting burst on the table, controlled, but no best casual. "I aloof think," he continued, "there's a tendency, especially in media like this, to simplify circuitous experiences." Joy smiled politely. "This is media like this," she said, "which is why we ask questions." A light cackle bouncing from the audience. Harry didn't laugh. Joy glanced at her notes. "You've announced above board about the press, about activity targeted. But some critics say that dispatch abroad from royal activity didn't abate attention. It amplified it." Harry's eyes hardened. "Well, critics say a lot of things," he replied. "That doesn't accomplish them insightful." Joy leaned back slightly, studying him. "True, but they additionally say you've congenital and absolute accessible identity around criticizing the academy that made you famous." There it was. Not an attack, not an accusation, a framing. Harry inhaled, afresh smiled, thin, practiced. "That's an actual American way of looking at it," he said. "Fame isn't something I asked for. I was built-in into it." Joy nodded. So was William. The name landed heavily on the table. Harry's smile vanished. "I'm not actuality to compare myself to my brother," he said sharply. Joy aged her head. "You allocution about him a lot for edition who doesn't want comparisons." A babble ran through the studio. Harry straightened, shoulders squaring. "With respect, Joy, I think that's a bit unfair." Joy met his gaze calmly. "Then explain it." Harry hesitated aloof for atom too long. Well, he said, allotment his words carefully. A back one actuality is protected by the arrangement and addition is sacrificed by it. Allegory becomes unavoidable. Joy's announcement didn't change, but her tone did. Sacrificed. She repeated. That's a able word. Harry nodded. It's accurate. The table no best acquainted warm. Joy best up her mug, took a baby sip, then set it bottomward with K. Prince Harry, she said evenly. We abandoned 10 minutes in. Harry looked at her, clearly irritated. And already, Joy continued. You complete beneath like a guest and added like addition animating for a fight. Harry's eyes narrowed. Maybe that says added about the questions than my answers. Joy smiled, this time without warmth. Or, she replied, it says you came and assured anybody at this table to accede with you. The audience went silent. Harry leaned back, crossing his arms. The affable beginning was over, and anybody in the allowance could feel it. The blackout afterwards, Joy's last sentence didn't feel accidental. It felt deliberate. Whoopi Goldberg shifted slightly in her chair. Analysis it. Sunny Host glanced bottomward at her notes, then back up, eyes sharp. Sarah Haynes folded her easily together, already advancing to smooth things over if needed. Harry, however, didn't move, accoutrements crossed, jaw tight, eyes bound on Joy. Joy bankrupt the pause first. I'm not adage disagreement is a problem, she said calmly. But you seem affronted that not. Anybody shares your framing. Harry exhaled through his nose. What irritates me, he replied, is actuality announced to as if my activity is a debate affair rather than a lived experience. Sunny leaned in slightly. But aback you appear on an appearance like this, she said gently. Altercation is allotment of the deal. Harry affronted against her, but his acknowledgement was still aimed at Joy. Discussion is fine, he said. Interrogation master's concern is not. Joy aloft an eyebrow. Interrogation? Yes, Harry said, articulation sharpening. There's a tone, a pattern, and I recognize it. Sarah jumped in quickly. I think what Joy is aggravating to do. Joy lifted a hand, endlessly her without looking abroad from Harry. No, let me handle this, Joy said quietly. That alone confused the room. Harry uncrossed his accoutrements now. Aptitude advanced slightly. Handle what exactly? Joy met his gaze. The acceptance that any catechism you don't like is hostile. A few audience members murmured. Harry let out a short, humorless laugh. That's not what I said. It's what you imply, Joy replied. Every time you bristle, Whoopi austere her throat. Okay, let's all booty a breath, she said. We're not actuality to attack anyone. Harry nodded against Whoopi. I appreciate that. Joy didn't nod. Whoopi continued. Harry, bodies watching are trying to accept your perspective, not invalidate it. Harry's voice dropped. Afresh, maybe they should listen instead of arduous every sentence. Joy leaned back in her chair. Listening doesn't beggarly agreeing. Harry's eyes flashed and arduous doesn't mean understanding. The restriction. Thickened, not loud, not chaotic, but heavy. Sunny stepped in again. Can I ask something? She said carefully. You've talked about trauma, about actuality afflicted by systems, but abounding would altercate that public accountability is altered from personal attack. Harry affronted toward her, visibly frustrated. That distinction is acceptable for people who've never lived beneath that affectionate of scrutiny. Joy interjected immediately. You're bold, none of us have. Harry looked back at her. You're bold, it's comparable. The admirers gasped softly. Joy didn't accession her voice. She didn't even change her posture, but her smile disappeared completely. You know, she said slowly, I've interviewed politicians who've absent elections, actors whose careers collapsed, people who've active children. None of them spoke to this table like it owed them reverence. Harry stiffened. I'm not asking for reverence. Then stop demanding it with your tone, Joy replied. Sarah leaned advanced urgently. Okay, let's reset. But Harry was already afraid his head. This is exactly the problem, he said. I come here to explain my acquaintance, and instead I'm lectured on how I'm allowed to accurate it. Joy's articulation hardened just a notch. No, your actuality reminded that announcement doesn't excuse condescension. Harry laughed again, sharper this time. As from me? Yes, Joy said plainly. From you. The room went to sleep quiet. Alike Whoopi didn't interrupt this time. Harry stayed at Joy incredulous. That's rich. Joy bankrupt her hands. You allege as if anybody who questions you is apprenticed or malicious. That's condescension. Harry leaned advanced now. Both award burst on the table. Because they are. A ripple of shock confused through the audience. Sonny whispered. Harry, he didn't attending at her. They abate my ancestors to headlines, he continued. They apish my wife. They minimize what we went through. And then they sit actuality assuming neutrality. Joy's eyes narrowed. We are not the tabloids. You account from the same ecosystem. Harry snapped. That did it. Joy leaned advanced for the aboriginal time, voice low but acutely firm. Don't lump us in with the bodies you affirmation to despise, she said. We're sitting across from you. We arrive you actuality and you were talking bottomward to us. Harry opened his aperture fresh bankrupted. Wobby finally stepped in, articulation authoritative. Harry, you charged to apprehend this. This table isn't against you. Harry affronted to her. Then why does it feel like a trial? Joy answered afore Whoopi could. Because you absolve in defensive, she said. And when bodies are defensive, every question feels like an attack. Harry leaned back, bridged his accoutrements again. Tied to this time. So this is my fault now, he said coldly. Joy nodded once. At least partly. The words afraid in the air like a verdict. Sarah looked visibly uncomfortable. Sonny stayed straight ahead. Whoopi rubbed her temple. Harry's voice abandoned to her breast whisper. You have no abstraction what you're talking about. Joy didn't blink. And you, she replied, have no abstraction how aloof you sound. The admirers erupted. Not applause, not boos, but a sharp collective assimilation of breath. Harry's face flushed. The affable account had fully collapsed, and anybody knew it. The allowance didn't balance afterwards Joy's last sentence. It couldn't. Harry sat frozen for a moment, accoutrements beyond so tightly his amateur looked bound in place. His jaw formed as if he were grinding article area amid his teeth. For the aboriginal time aback the interview began. He wasn't just irritated. He was angry. Whoopi leaned forward, award open. Harry, she said carefully. Nobody actuality is abstinent that you've been through a lot, but this conversation is sliding into something else. Harry didn't attending at her. He was staring beeline at Joy. You keep calling it arrogance, he said slowly, voice controlled but sharp. What you're really afflictive with is a man refusing to apologize for surviving. Joy ag her arch slightly. No, she replied. What I'm afflictive with is a bedfellow who treats every advance aback like betrayal. Sonny jumped in aggravating to reframe. Harry, can I ask? No, Harry cut in, axis his arch acutely toward her. Actually, you can't. The audience audibly reacted. Sonny blinked, stunned. Excuse me. I've answered enough questions, Harry said. And every single one gets askance into another accusation. Joy leaned back in her chair. You on The View, not a press conference. Harry scoffed. That's debatable. Whoopi's articulation dropped firm. All right, let's apathetic this down. Harry assuredly affronted to her. With respect, Whoopi. Slowing bottomward aloof drags this out. Joy interjected immediately. Then maybe you shouldn't accept calm. That landed hard. Harry's eyes airtight back to her. You don't get to say that. Joy's accent backward calm. I absolutely do. Sarah approved one aftermost time to soften things. Maybe what Harry is adage is that Harry cut her off. 2. Please stop trying to construe me. I'm perfectly capable of speaking for myself. Sarah went silent, aperture apprentice together. The audience could feel it now. Harry wasn't reacting anymore. He was lashing out. Joy bankrupt her easily unshaken. You know, I've been accomplishing this a connected time, she said. And a back edition keeps telling anybody abroad to stop talking. It usually agency they don't like hearing anything they can't control. Harry laughed short. Bitter. Control? Coming from this table. Yes, Joy said after hesitation. Because you absolve in absent a platform, not a conversation. Harry leaned advanced suddenly. You arrive me. And you accepted, Joy replied. That doesn't accomplish this your active room. The crowd murmured again. Harry befuddled his head, articulation rising. This is unbelievable. You pretend to affliction about mental health, about trauma, about empathy, and the moment edition doesn't perform acknowledgement correctly, you about face on them. Whoopi straightened. That's not fair. Harry affronted to her, eyes blazing. Then stop absolution how alleged for all of you. Joy didn't like attending at Whoopi. I'm speaking for myself, she said. And I'm saying this. You don't get to weaponize pain to shut bottom-ward disagreement. The word weaponize cut deep. Harry's face reened. You accept no right. Joy leaned forward now. Analogous his intensity. I have every right. You came on this show. You brought the attitude. And now you're acting affronted because addition isn't nodding along. Harry stood up halfway out of his armchair, force stopping himself. The movement abandoned beatific a jolt through the studio. Whoopi aloft her voice for the aboriginal time. Harry, sit down. He hesitated, a fresh sat back, but hard. You apperceive what the botheration is. Harry said coldly. You don't actually want honesty. You appetite compliance. Joy's smile returned, but it was thin, sharp. And you, she replied, want sympathy after scrutiny. Silence. Pew, abundant silence. Sonny looked visibly uncomfortable. Sarah stayed at the table. Alike the producers above the cameras weren't assuming anymore. Harry exhaled sharply. I'm done being psychoanalyzed by daytime television. Joy didn't absence a beat. A fresh you on the amiss show. The words echoed. Harry's eyes flicked against the exit just for a second. The anticipation was there now. Leaving. Whoopi sensed it. Harry, if you charge a moment. No, he snapped. What I charge is respect. Joy nodded slowly. Account is mutual. Harry stood up. Absolutely this time. The admirers gasped. He looked bottomward at the table, a fresh back at Joy. This is absolutely why bodies don't trust Medio anymore. Joy remained seated, calm, unwavering. No, she said. This is why bodies are annoyed of entitlement dressed up as enlightenment. That was the line, the one that bankrupt whatever abstemiousness Harry had left. His armchair aching loudly against the attic as he stepped back. You apperceive what? He said, articulation tight. I'm not activity to sit actuality and be lectured by addition who's fabricated a career out of biting people. Joy looked up at him unafraid. And I'm not activity to sit here and let you belittle anybody in this room. Whoopi stood up halfway. Okay, this is accepting out of hand. Harry grabbed his anorak from the back of the chair. The cameras were still rolling. Everyone knew what was advancing next. Either he would storm off or someone would stop him. And the abutting move would change everything. The boast acquainted like it had chock-full breathing. Harry stood beside his chair, anorak in hand, chest rising and falling too fast to hide. His eyes flicked from Joy to Whoopi, then briefly against the audience. Millions of unseen faces watching every additional of this unraveling moment. Joy Behar didn't move. She didn't accession her voice. She didn't interrupt. She waited. That silence abandoned said added than shouting ever could. Harry, Whoopi said firmly, standing now, her accent unmistakably authoritative. Sit down. We activity to reset this. Harry befuddled his head. No, I'm not blockage actuality to be disrespected. Joy assuredly spoke, her voice calm, but razor sharp. Then let's be bright about something, she said. You weren't disrespected. You were challenged, and you didn't like it. Harry laughed bitterly. This is a setup. No, Joy replied. This is accountability. The chat hit him like a slap. You don't get to adjudge how people respond to you, Joy continued. You don't get to ascendancy the tone, the questions, or the room. And you absolutely don't get to shut bodies bottom water back they disagree. Harry is secular against her. You've been antagonizing me from the start. Joy nodded once. Because you walked in defensive, condescending, and unwilling to listen. I met you area you were. Whoopi stepped forward. Enough, she said. This isn't allowance anyone. Harry affronted to her. With respect, Whoopi. This appearance arrived me. And I didn't appear actuality to be attacked. Whoopi's announcement hardened. And we didn't allure you to insult the panel. The admirers murmured audibly now. The tension was no best subtle. It was public, undeniable. Sonny spoke carefully. Harry, I anticipate what Joy is saying. No? Harry airtight again. I'm done actuality talked over. That was it. Whoopi straightened fully, voice dropping into article colder. Official Ori, she said. This is the view. We have conversations here. We don't silence anniversary other. Harry stared at her. Then maybe this isn't the abode for me. Joy leaned advanced slightly, eyes locked on his. No, she said. It isn't. The words landed heavy. For a moment, Harry looked stunned, as if he hadn't expected that answer. You will want me to leave? He said. Joy didn't hesitate. Yes. The burst went to sleep silent. Whoopi exhaled slowly. A fresh nodded. I agree. Gasps bouncing through the audience. Harry's face ablaze red. You're kicking me off the show. Whoopi met his gaze calm and firm. You've beyond a line. This chat isn't productive anymore. Harry scoffed. Unbelievable. Joy bankrupt her hands. What's unbelievable is the way you've announced to everyone at this table. The effective is jacket absolutely now. This is absolutely why people don't assurance media. Joy stood for the Aboriginal time. And this, she said, is why bodies are annoyed of entitlement masquerading as truth. Harry opened his mouth to respond, but Whoopi cut in. We're done, she said clearly. Thank you for coming. Harry looked around once more, analytic for an ally. There were none. After addition word, he turned and absolved offset. The camera stayed on Joy and Whoopi as his footsteps echoed away. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then, Whoopi faced the camera. Sometimes, she said calmly, difficult conversations reveal more than answers anytime could. Joy nodded beside her. Respect goes both ways. The awning achromatic as the audience sat stunned, absolutely acquainted they had just witnessed a moment that would be replayed, debated, and dissected for weeks. Harry had an aloof absolved off the view. He'd been apparent the door.